We are very pleased to have Dr. Tanvi Muni with us today. She is the program manager for the QED Proof of Concept program, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about the program. Before she does, we just want to really encourage you to apply for this and stress the importance of just going through the application process. Even if your project isn't selected for funding, the semifinalists are paired with business advisors, and those business advisors are going to provide you with mentoring, business advice, and networking opportunities. I believe that some of the teams, even if they haven't been funded, have stayed together and have started companies afterwards. So Tanvi will probably speak more about that. The early submission deadline is June 2nd. And we really do encourage you to make the early submission deadline. Last year we got some really valuable feedback from Tanvi and her group that enabled us to make our applications even stronger. If you're thinking about applying, please get in touch with myself and my colleague Bob DeHaven. We'll email everybody our contact information afterwards, because Jefferson University has to get some things in place as far as IP ownership for your invention. So we want to make sure that we have time to do that. And the final submission deadline will be June 30th. So a little bit more about Dr. Tanvi Muni. She received her PhD in bioengineering from the University of Illinois and completed her undergraduate studies in electronics engineering at the University of Mumbai. In addition to her postdoc training in biomarker identification, translational drug discovery and development, Tanvi has considerable entrepreneur life science experience in new ventures, licensing, business development, and IP portfolio management. She herself has been a fellow for the QED Proof of Concept program, as well as a program manager at First Pitch Life Sciences, a life science investor group organized by the Mid-Atlantic BioAngels. Please help me in welcoming Tanvi.
Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me? Just turn that on. Okay. You can hear me, right? Okay. All right. So thank you, Jennifer, for the kind introduction. So as Jennifer introduced me, I'm the program manager, the QED program manager at University City Science Center. My presentation is mainly going to revolve around, I'll start off with introducing the Science Center. I assume, how many here are familiar with Science Center, know, or have heard about us? Just a few hands. So that's what we usually see. We don't see too many people familiar with the Science Center. And then I'll talk about some of the programs that we have that are mainly for faculty members. And we have a suite of programs at the Science Center. And then talk a little bit more about QED. So to get started, Science Center is a research park. We are the largest urban research park in the country. That's a surprise because people don't know us. And we are right by the Penn Drexel campus area. Our Science Center campus, which we call the Legacy Campus, is between 38th and 34th on Market Street. And we are in an expansion phase where we have a new 10-year project we just embarked on to develop 4.5 million square feet of space, which is going further north towards Lancaster. So we are developing a lot of other space around us. And the whole area is going to get rebranded as from University City to U City Square. So you'll hear the term U City Square quite a bit as we move forward over the next few years, and that's all in the Science Center neighborhood. We consider ourselves a nucleus of sorts to support innovation. So what our primary role at the Science Center is to connect research with ventures, with investors, and because we have the network, we have connections with the universities and the research institutions to look for the talent and new research coming out, and we have access to investors. We have access to industry experts who we want to connect to you guys so that your technologies can move out into the marketplace. And so we consider ourselves as the networking center where everybody can come together. And our mission really is to support innovation in the greater Philadelphia area. To that extent, we have a suite of programs that are assisting these connections at different levels and different stages of technologies. The earliest technologies that we see are in the QED program. So these are pre-company, very early stage. Work is still residing in the institutions. The work is being done at the research institutions that we have partnerships with. For the QED program, we partner with 21 research institutions, Jefferson being one, but in the greater Philadelphia area. So we reach out to New Jersey, we have Rutgers and JIT. Down in Delaware, we have University of Delaware, and a lot of the other research institutions in and around the Philadelphia area, stretching to Penn State College all the way. That's the furthest that we have connections with. Then the next program that we have is Phase 1 Ventures, which is our early stage startup focus program. We have matching funds so we help with company formation. And we help these companies that are accepted into the program to submit and apply for non-dilutive funding, primarily SBIR, STTR grants. Once a grant is awarded, then we provide matching funds. And so if you get $150,000 SBIR, then the Phase 1 Ventures program will provide you $150,000 of match, and you can use the full $300,000 to do your next step research. So that's another fantastic program for faculty. So both QED and Phase 1 Ventures are more geared towards faculty, early stage technologies. We work with research institutions to help the PIs and the faculty members take their research out and apply for grants and things like that. The other third program that's listed up there, the Digital Health Accelerator, that is, as the name suggests, a digital health accelerator. That is for digital health companies that are close to being out in the market. They are ready to make sales, and they need that final push. They need those industry connections with any investors if necessary to be able to go make and start doing sales. And so it's an accelerator program for those companies. We have an incubator space called the Port Incubator. It is an incubator space for early stage companies. And ICF 3401 is our co-working, co-sharing space for companies who just want to rent some space, need an address for the company, need a table for a couple of days a week, not fully ready. So a lot of the digital health companies kind of reside at ICF 3401. So talking more about the QED program, so if you've all heard about the valley of depth, which is the gap in support that researchers do not get in terms of reaching out to the investors. So there's this pool of investors, they don't know where the research, what the cutting edge research is, and what's happening out at the schools and research institutions. And the research institutions and the faculty members don't have access to the investors. And so that's where most of the technologies fail, because that connection is not made. And that's essentially called the valley of death for early stage technologies, because there's no support for them to cross that barrier. And that's the space where the Science Center is most helpful, because we have this fantastic network of investors. We have a lot of connections in the industry who work with the business, who work as business advisors with the projects that get selected to participate in the program. So QED was launched back in 2009 to cover that gap, the valley of death, which is a very common terminology in that. And it was the first multi-institutional proof of concept program in the country. So most of the proof of concept programs that we've seen are focused in the university. So there might be a proof of concept funding support within several universities, but this is a program that works with multiple universities. It's the first in the nation that was launched in that fashion back in 2009, because we wanted to support the technologies coming out of the entire greater Philadelphia area, not just one university. So most of the universities around here also have their own independent individual support programs for either funding proof of concept projects, or most of them are directed by the tech transfer offices in kind of supporting and seeing, because that's the office which really sees all the technologies coming out. So they then develop proof of concept funding programs for internal faculty members. But what we have, the way we distinguish ourselves is that, first of all, we're multi-institutional. We have a fantastic network of industry experts that is a little bit hard to find within the institutions. And so that really sets us apart, the industry expertise that we bring to the projects. So it's a 8 to 10 week intensive program, like an immersion program kind of thing. And you will work with the faculty, the faculty members work with the industry experts who we call business advisors during that 8 to 10 week period. And you will develop something called a proof of concept plan. And this plan has your R&D milestones. What are the things that are required to take your project along the commercialization pathway? What are the regulatory hurdles you might face? If it's a drug, is FDA going to approve? If it's a medical device, is FDA going to approve? What is it that you need to do in order to take your product to the FDA? So, we help you draw up that plan, develop, look at all of those things, things that you may not have even thought about because you're working on the research. You don't know right now what it really takes to take that technology out into the market. So these folks, the business advisors, they have about 25 years of experience doing this, taking technologies from bench, from research, all the way to the market. They've had business development roles in industry. They've had marketing roles. They've probably done a bunch of clinical trials, led clinical trials. They've been in the VP positions doing several of these things. And so they've seen it all. They know what it takes to take these technologies out. And there's a lot of expertise there. That's a really, really valuable offering that the program has for the faculty who are selected to participate. And at the end of the participation period, the funding, the proof of concept plan that you will develop, we think that's the plan that's going to open a lot of doors for you. You can apply for funding at a lot of different places. We've seen faculty members take their proof of concept plan and draw it out into an SBIR or an STTR and gotten funded. So Science Center is one of the places where, which will offer you funding with that proof of concept plan in mind and your proposal in mind, but that proposal can really open lots of doors for you, and you can apply to elsewhere for funding. Science Center, we fund 3 to 4 projects every year who have been passed through this entire process, and each project gets funded up to $200,000. That's the maximum. And out of the $200,000, $100,000 comes from the Science Center in cash. The other $100,000 comes from the institution as an institutional match. So all the Science Center funds are in cash. The institutional funds can be in cash or in kind. And $200,000 is the maximum cap. There's no minimum cap, really. So you can work with your institution and set up a budget depending on whatever your goals are. So who can apply to the program? Well, you have to be a member of one of our 21 partner organizations. Jefferson is one. It has to be a life science or healthcare technology, primarily because our network has expertise in the life sciences area. And you absolutely have to have strong support from your technology transfer office. Your application comes to us through their office. They have to review it and they have to approve it before we even get to see your application. So we don't accept any applications directly. You will submit your application. You will upload your application to our application web portal, and somebody from Jefferson Innovations or Jefferson Pillar will take a look at the application, get back to you if there are revisions that need to be made, and then they will approve it and submit it to us. So we don't see it unless they submit it to us. So it's a two-step process. We get applications, which requests for proposals are already out, and you should have copies of those on your tables. So we have two application deadlines, an early application deadline and a final application deadline. As Jennifer already mentioned, the early application deadline is June 2nd. If you submit an application by then I will read your application, give you feedback. We know we can identify gaps that you may not have seen, and we've seen because we work with the selection team members who are picking these projects that will move on to the process, so we know what's going to make your application stronger for them. So we give you feedback, and you can make your revisions and then submit it by the final deadline, which is June 29th. At the end of, once we receive all the applications, we receive somewhere between 60 to 70 applications each year. These 60 to 70 applications are passed on to the selection team members who are from the investment community. So these are venture capitalists, investors, folks from the industry who are doing in-licensing, things like that. So these are people who are making investment decisions in early stage technologies. And so they see the whole pool of 60 to 70 applications. And they come back, get together in a meeting at the Science Center, and they discuss all of the projects. And then they recommend 10 to 15 projects to get selected in the process and to participate as a QED participating project. Once, and the ones that don't get selected to participate in the program, they get feedback from them. So whatever recommendations or things that that selection team tells us about the project, this is, if this project had this work done, then they would be ready to apply to the program and probably make a stronger case to us and things like that. So that feedback is provided back to the PIs after that meeting is completed. And the projects that do get selected to participate, they are then invited to come in and do presentations to our business advisors. These are the folks from the industry who have a lot of business development experience, and then you talk to them, you discuss your projects with them, they ask questions, and then we match a business advisor to each of the 10 to 15 projects that are selected. And at that point of time, then the 8 to 10 week period starts. You're all working together to develop a proof of concept plan and addressing all of those commercialization questions and getting advice from the business advisors as to what it takes to take your technology out. So you'll have R&D, you'll have commercialization milestones in there. And at the end of this 8 to 10 week period, the PIs or the project leaders or somebody from your team will come in and do a presentation to the selection team. So the selection team who has done who has initially screened the projects and picked the 10 to 15, they will come back, and you will come back and you will do a presentation to them. Your proof of concept plans will already be submitted to them, so they've seen everything that you have produced. And so then they recommend 3 to 4 projects at the end of that process to get funded through the program. But the proof of concept plans are yours to take and use in order to get funding from other sources. So what are the benefits of participating in the program? The mentorship that you get, and the fact that these business mentors or business advisors are advising you. It's not like a workshop where they come in and they share general knowledge with you. It's very specific. They're customizing their advice to your project. So each project is as unique as the inventor. Sometimes the inventor may have a different goal. A PI may say, this is where I want to take it, or this is my vision for the project. The advisors can tell you whether that makes sense or not, but if not, then they're going to help you pivot your work. And it's all going to be involved in that 8 to 10 week period. And so the advice that you really get is tremendous. These people were making high six-figure salaries. And so it's like tens of thousands of dollars of advice that they're giving for free. They're volunteering their time. We are not paying them. They are just giving back to the community. And they have 20, 30 years of experience in the industry. I mean, it's unbeatable, the type of advice and knowledge that's imparted by them. And then if you participate in the program, or if you're selected to participate, you develop that proof of concept plan that you can take elsewhere. The relationships that you build with these business advisors. We've seen projects that did not get funded through Science Center, and they have formed startups with their business advisors that were working with them during that 8 to 10 week period. And they've formed startups, they have funding from other sources. So I'm giving you an example from last round, which we just completed. The funded projects were announced in December. Out of the 11 projects that were participating, 3 projects were funded out of the 8 that did not get funded. There are 2 startups already. This was, these decisions were made only in December. It's not even 6 months. There are 2 startups. One of the startups already has funding from other sources. So both of the startups have the business advisors that they work with as the PIs are working with the business advisors to fund the companies. So, I mean, this is something that we see every single year. So just getting selected to participate in the program, you should be considering yourself winners because you're getting tens of thousands of dollars worth of advice. You have the proof of concept plan that you can take and get funding elsewhere. You have the relationships and the contacts and with the people who can help you take your technology out. You are getting exposure to the investment industry. Your technology is up front and center in front of the VCs, angels, industry folks who are in licensing. So those are your potential customers, and it's out there. They're getting to see it. So all of these benefits, irrespective of whether you get funded through the program or not. So those are the real value components of the program that we want to highlight and we want to talk about all the time. And of course, the feedback that you get. So projects that do not get funded also get feedback from that final selection team meeting. So you know what is it that your project could do to become more successful in terms of getting funding. And another thing I would like to add here is that we only have limited funds. So we are not able to fund everything that we would like to fund. Historically, we've seen that out of the 10 to 15 that are selected to participate, about 50%, 6 to 7 are fundable. We are only able to fund 3 to 4. So, I mean, the projects are this close, and we just cannot fund some projects. That doesn't mean they were not good. It's just limited funds, and which is the case, I guess, everywhere. So. Since its launch in 2009, we've had 539 applications from our 21 partner institutions. 105 projects have been selected to participate and have developed proof of concept plans. From Jefferson, we've received 43 white papers. 7 projects out of those 43 have gone on to develop proof of concept plans and work with the business advisors. 2 projects have been funded over the years. So, I mean, I think it's a pretty good ratio of success over here. Out of those, so we funded 31 projects to date. So out of those 31 projects, we've seen 9 licensing agreements come out. 6 of those 31 projects already have startups. Technologies have been licensed from the universities. All of the 31 projects combined have leveraged more than $19 million in follow-on funding, which is fantastic. And if you look at the split up of those $19 million, then about a little over $12 million is from private investments. These are VCs and people who might have seen your technologies at some point of time during the participation with QED. And government research grants. So, I mean, we've seen projects go on and get another NIH grant because of the work that has been done so that they can do some other work and again, apply for another commercialization grant. So the next step that you really need to do is reach out to your tech transfer office, reach out to Jennifer, reach out to Bob, start having conversations with them about your interest in applying for the program. Go to our website, look at the white paper application, download the application. It's about 3 pages long and it has short paragraphs that you need to complete. And go to our General Science Center website, and we have a QED page, and that lists all the projects that have been selected to participate in the program. So you kind of get a sense of what kinds of projects are being selected to participate, what kinds of projects are getting funded, to kind of see where, and that's not prescriptive. We look at every project that has a life science component to it, and it's pretty broad, even though we say life sciences, like we've really funded projects that were very tangential, and you would be like, oh, does that even fit into life science kind of thing? And more information can be found on our website and as well as on the white paper application website. And my business cards have also been circulated. If you don't have my business card, I'm sure Bob has some extra business cards. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
So if you go into the program and you go all the way through, and then say you start.
We're recording, so if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, sure. Sorry, if you go through the program and you end up starting a company at the end, does the Science Center get some portion of that? Is there what do you guys get out of it?
So why we fund the projects? It's a good question, and it's a valid one. So if and when your project forms a startup, gets licensed, and your university starts generating revenues out of your project at any point of time down the road, then we take a share of the university's revenues. We don't own the IP that's generated if the project gets funded. Whatever work you do is going to be at the university. The IP is owned, managed by the university. We don't have any stake or any claim of any of that.
It's a share of the money you'd lose to the university anyway.
Yes, yes. So nothing changes for you. It's the university's share that we dip into. Yes.
That was actually my question, but have you found that there's been a growing number of startup concepts or research concepts that are not based on like organic research, but are more like information science driven?
Yes, we've seen lots of digital health projects. So all the projects, all the applications that we receive, over the last few years, we've seen a shift and more digital health technologies have been applying. Out of the 60 to 70 applications that we get, about 50% are in the therapeutics, new drugs, small molecules, biologics, diagnostics, like some lab kit or something like that, that are in that direction. About the other 50% falls within the medical devices and digital health sectors. And so there are about 30, 35 projects in each of these two sections. And we actually, our selection committee, our selection team is also divided into these expertise. Our business advisors are also divided into these two things. And the presentations, all the interactions you'll have with the advisors, with the selection team members will be focused in that concentrated area. So we split up everything that we have, all of our resources as well as the applicants into these two big buckets, if you will, because for all practical purposes to review and to look at 30, 35 applications in one day is really hard as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely, and it just has always seemed to me that $200,000 will go so far for a device or so far for a new life science product, but for software, for instance, $200,000 can be a year of...
So the answer to that is you have to justify your budget. Everybody knows that $200,000 for a digital health technology is probably going to go much further. And so if you can justify that your project can really, that $200,000 can make a huge difference in the project, then there's no reason why people will not fund it. But it's possible that you ask for $200,000 and we say, we think you can do all of this work in $100,000. That's what we're going to give you. And that's where it's going to go. Also, we have a total of $600,000 of a budget. That $600,000 either gets divided into 3 projects or 4 projects. And so the amount will vary. If we see that there are 4 projects, 2 of them are digital health, what we're going to do is we're going to say the 2 digital health are going to get 100, and the other drugs or other ones might get 200 each. I mean,
So if you ask for less, will that increase your chances of getting an award?
sure, we funded, as far as you justify, so you ask for 100,000, but the work that you're proposing can be done in 50,000, you're not justifying your budget.
Right.
So if you justify, you ask for less, you justify, and everybody thinks that, yes, this is the right amount of work that was going to take them one large step forward, and they're realistic in their budget, they know what they're doing. If that comes across very clearly, then yes. It's a very, I know it's a very vague, broad answer, but as long as you can make your case, it's going to work.
Do we have any other questions for Tanvi? I just want to share one of our success stories. Sunday Shoyali was funded through the QED program a number of years ago now for a novel drug delivery system. He just in November has founded a startup company with his business partners, and they're really gaining some traction now. So it does have value. I think that the connections that you make, that the mentorship that you get is really important. If you're going to participate, talk to Bob and I as soon as possible. The application process is quite simple. It's only 3 pages. They limit you on words, so I think that was our hardest part last year, was trying to keep within the words limit.
Yes.
last year was my first time through, and we got so much valuable feedback. Adam Dicker had participated. Hitting that early submission deadline, Tanvi spent about an hour on the phone with each of us, and the feedback we got really strengthened our application. So I'd encourage you to get something in.
Yeah, I would just comment that, I don't know if I need the mic, but I just think Tavi was very generous with her time, and I'll just leave it at that.